and being with so many friendlies, getting to play with players that they would normally play with, if they come in and when they play first team with the Loons. I mean, like on the downfall, it's like that minute or Madison loses some decent, like a decent center back, and what is he, right back? I think Manley is.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So.
All right, so we're going to talk U.S. Open Cup very briefly because, my goodness, we're very long-winded apparently. So this obviously affects you because you guys are in the U.S. Open Cup as well. We're in the U.S. Open Cup as well.
That's all right.
But let's talk the format. You know, you have a situation where the USSF has an opportunity to really grow soccer across the country, and it doesn't really feel like they're doing a whole lot to do that. And I brought up little petty things like Minnesota United in their announcement for the Houston match. It was 3 MLS balls, and I was like, well, why is it the MLS ball? Why isn't it a Nike ball? Because that's a USF sponsor. Why is MLS even remotely connected to this? Because it's USSF. If they just changed it to be, this is USSF, we're going to use Nike balls when the games are played. This has nothing to do with Major League Soccer other than the fact that their teams are in it. Wouldn't that attract more attention? Wouldn't it help the lower division teams feel more welcomed, more a part of the tournament?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's what it's about. I mean, it's just like the FA Cup. It's just like the League Cup. It's just like all the other cups across Europe, which I should know more about, but I don't. Where you bring all these lower division teams in, and you give them the opportunity to win a piece of silverware at the end of the day.
Yeah. You mentioned the FA Cup, and I mean, like that's, I don't like, how long is the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup been played? Since 1914. It's one of the longest. But I think what's important for Minnesota is or not Minnesota, but United specifically, but MLS is like MLS, it's too MLS centric, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And what you really should do in the United States is be growing the game of soccer. So maybe it's ending these regional draws earlier, maybe forcing the MLS teams to travel.
Yep.
Because how are you going to grow the team? You get an MLS team to go into a smaller market.
And that's always been my thing. My thing is, if it were me, I would eliminate regional draws. I would eliminate everything. USSF has millions and millions of dollars. I would like to see them put some of that money in there. And if lower club teams should play MLS club teams from all over the country, and they should be funded by USSF.
Right.
It should just be an open cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if I can hop in real quick, I know just that's something that I understand that there's a certain amount of team budget that makes it infeasible to say, I'm not going to have a team from Orlando area, just as an example, fly all the way out to Portland area. That doesn't make sense for a team that's amateur, right? So I understand the idea to do regionalization at that level, and I think I support that unless USF wants to start pitching out funds. Sure, that's going to be a heck of a conversation to convince them, hey, spend more money on this. Right. But, in an ideal world, that would be the way you go, but otherwise, I'm okay with regionalization through there. But then, I think this is similar to what Twelman was proposing, if not exactly, but I fully support bring MLS in an extra round earlier, and then maybe you say I'm going to hold all of my lower regional teams first, and then make the MLS teams go travel there with no regionalization, because then you do have Portland and Seattle play each other every stinking year.
Same with us in
boring.
Kansas City.
It's stupid. Why couldn't you have a Portland versus Seattle final if that was just how it happened to happen, for example, And, we came real close in our first year to being able to play ultimately what was going to be Chicago, You knew it was going to happen. It could have been Minneapolis, but, why wouldn't you make that available to teams? Because I feel like we basically eliminated, any lower level teams basically got knocked out in that final round, I think, right? So you've really strangled the opportunity for a really true giant killing by forcing them to wait so long. One round earlier, you'd have had us and a couple of other teams that were of really like true giant killing capability, right? I'm not going to call one league level giant killing, right? That's not what it is. Chicago got everything they deserved in that match because they played like garbage, but that's not a giant killing. St. Louis is still a pretty good team, you know?
Right.
But something like Chicago coming to Madison, that's a huge deal. That means, hey, I get to take on the top. I get to really show that like I might be down in this league because I don't have the budget, but I can play with you guys for one game.
Right.
And
I agree.
And how great would it be to see Sporting Kansas City play in Green Bay?
yeah, that's another great example.
Or Detroit City go play, LAFC.
Yes.
How
Yes.
awesome would that be? And like I said, it's the money's there. They're making, like I said, hundreds of millions of dollars. The money's there. I mean, sure, you're going to have, Orlando or Orange County FC. You start those teams off first, just to, I won't say eliminate them, but you start the the amateur clubs off first, and then you bring in USL 1 and 2 at the same time, and then you bring in the championship and MLS at the same time, but you eliminate regionalization. Yeah. That way, we're not playing Sporting Kansas City every year, and you guys end up playing, Fire
Is there
or somebody every year.
a good point for regionalization to end? Because it does make sense
cost.
to
Travel.
Yeah, because I mean, in the sense that it makes sense for some team in Pennsylvania to play some other team in Pennsylvania while we're figuring this out, and then the last round or something of round 3, that's where it ends, and now it's LA can travel to
I
New York
could
or
definitely
something
see
like that.
where it's the very lower rounds.
Right.
They have that regionalization, but especially once MLS is in, I think it should be wiped out. I think USSF needs to be paying money out to make sure these teams can travel.
And Twelman's point, I mean, his main points were growing the game, basically, and by growing the game, you're going to grow the tournament. I mean, when you have a match like take Sporting KC at Minnesota earlier this week, when you have 7,700 people show up, I mean, what do you have to lose by making these changes that we're talking about?
I mean, I think about where in England, a team like Chelsea will travel to Huddersfield Town, and it's like they don't need to grow the game. They've had the game for a century.
It's admittedly a much smaller country, but that's where it's beyond a certain point. It makes sense in rounds 1, 2 that people are playing against their local-ish rivals.
Right.
But after that, once MLS is involved,
Exactly.
throw the money, make it an event that Forward Madison could host Atlanta or
Exactly.
LA or
Yeah,
Salt
I mean,
Lake
can you
or someone
imagine
like
if you
that.
guys were hosting LAFC at Breeze Field? I mean, that would be incredible.
huge.
I just think it would be.
I'd still love to see a Madison Minnesota match.
Well,
Not a friendly.
I'm just thinking, LA right now is probably the bee's knees when it comes to MLS teams. Why? That would be fantastic for a team in Madison's situation to be able to bring in a LAFC and be able to have their fans experience that.
Yeah.
And giant killers happen all the time. I mean, it does.
Well, look at if you want to call Colorado a giant, but New Mexico beating them in penalties.
I mean,
but still, that's still
Colorado
decent
is
for call.
pretty huge. I mean, I hear they beat Minnesota this year.
And we don't like to talk about that.
I would classify him as a giant, I think, right there.
Yeah, they beat us one.
Getting me to bring up short top.
yeah.
Sorry, we forgive you.
All right, so, I mean, like we've all agreed, we could talk an hour for this.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my computer is potentially telling me that we can't. So let's just do World Cup. Women's World Cup. I originally... Excellent. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely. I'll see you guys at the tailgate. We'll see you there in a little bit.
I originally wanted to get a bit controversial
We can do
but
that.
we don't have time.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe we should just congratulate the U.S. women on
We
their
will
opening.
congratulate the U.S. women on a phenomenal win of 13-0 against Thailand.
opening the group stage
That
in their
was-
first match.
We will ignore the controversy that has erupted
You can
regarding the potential run-up of score, which I have no issue with. The potential celebration of goals, which I probably maybe am against.
we were
everyone
going to have
else
a
at this
good
table.
argument, but we
See,
We just don't have time.
I see as like if they don't celebrate, that's not like respecting their opponent. Like if they,
It goes,
I mean,
hand in hand with running up the
yeah.
score.
I mean, if you
in my
I
opinion.
run up the score, I don't care. I was
I might wanna
celebrating the
crawl
entire
under the
time.
The reality is they played a phenomenal game,
Yeah.
and they did very well.
I would have scored the 13th goal and ran to the Thailand supporters and pointed at the front of my shirt. But I'm that guy. So
Carly Lloyd and like everybody, like they talked to the goalkeeper after, they talked to the Thailand players after, and they were all like, "Hey, don't give up. I mean, you lost 13-0, but don't give up. You're still in a competition. It's good sportsmanship."
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, you know, I would, even though I disagree with some of the celebrations, I fully support the U.S. women's team in their pursuance to just completely destroy.
If you
And
scored,
Brady, maybe we'd like to comment.
Steh auf, wenn du ein Deutscher bist.
So we literally have one listener that would be able to translate.
Yeah, that's okay. He'll know what I'm talking about, or she. That's all.
mostly he, mostly he.
John
That's all I have to say, John. Bull skates.
The U.S. plays Chile tomorrow.
Chile, and they finished with Sweden.
Yeah, they play Sweden.
on Thursday. Yeah,
So actually, by the time you hear this, they will have probably beaten Chile.
Hopefully,
That would be
Not
my
gonna-
assumption.
hopefully 13-0.
another
It might not be 13. I don't think it's going to be
10-0. Okay, 10-0.
Yeah. You know, in terms of groups, we've got France, Germany, Italy, England, and Canada are all leading their groups. Canada's playing as we speak. New Zealand
Holland
winning
or
1-0.
Netherlands moved up today too as well.
Netherlands moved up today.
Yeah.
Obviously, people have got to watch the Women's World Cup. I think people kind of discount it a bit because it's quote-unquote women's sports.
Right.
Bullshit. They're fantastic athletes.
Yep.
They deserve all the recognition and support they can get.
Absolutely.
And
and it's been competitive.
it's
I know if Minnesota if Allianz Field brought the women's national team, that game would sell out like instantly.
agreed. Yeah.
Because I think it's just something about the women's team compared to the men's team, where the men's team's growing. That too, and a lot of.
I don't want to roll us off the Women's World Cup, but what are you expecting for the U.S. men's national team at Allianz Field?
I didn't buy I didn't buy tickets, but I still think it'd be.
Are you talking the first match or the U.S. match?
The U.S.
The
match.
U.S. match.
So the U.S. match, I expect it to be a sellout.
Yeah, I would
honestly
expect.
do.
Do you think it'll be full?
I expect it to be full,
hope it is.
only because it's the U.S. team in Allianz Field.
So I did a search on SeatGeek
Yeah.
for 8 groups of 8,
Yes.
and I counted 111 separate groups of 8 tickets available.
I know. I've looked at it a couple times. I wasn't planning. I didn't buy tickets when they first announced it. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could go, but I looked at it again. But I'm probably still not going to go.
I had tickets, and then when I saw it was 9 p.m., I sold them. And I sold them for. I actually took a loss. It just doesn't work for me, but
Yeah.
I really hope that everyone.
So I expect a lot of American outlaws
yeah.
that can't get into the supporter section with the outlaws to start buying up all those tickets. Because the outlaws normally travel 5,000-6,000.
Right.
Biker gang.
So
No, the American Outlaws.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I expect them to start buying. I expect them to. because a lot of the tickets that are available, I've looked at SeatGeek, even though I have